and welcome to Health Talk. I'm Laura Ingle. Australian athlete Turia Pitt became one of her nation's most inspirational figures. In 2011, the former model and mining engineer was competing in a 100K ultra marathon in the Outback when she was caught in a wildfire. It severely burned over 65% of her body, but thanks to 10 Americans who donated their skin to the Musculoskeletal Transplant Foundation, Turia is alive and thriving, and she's joining the foundation to say thank you and talk about her unbelievable recovery, and is here with us now. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Laura.
What an incredible story you have. It really is truly amazing. So you've had, I understand, over 200 surgeries, spent 6 grueling months in rehab. How did you do it?
It's a bit of a hard question to answer.
Right.
But I think one of the things that helped me get through was setting a goal. Because when you set a really big goal that's outside of yourself, it helps to have just something else other than what you're going through to focus on. Mm-hmm. And for me, in hospital, that goal was doing an Ironman.
Well, I mean, to think about 200 surgeries.
Yeah. Most
of us in our lifetimes have had a surgery or two for a broken bone or something like that. But to think about 200, I mean, it really is miraculous. And the fact that you're thriving today, also miraculous.
Yeah, I mean, the surgeries are still continuing today, but I think it's all about how you look at it. Mm-hmm. So I could look at a surgery and think, I don't really want to go through it. I'm going to be in a lot of pain. Mm-hmm. Or I could reframe it, say, hey, the surgery is going to make me eventually look better. Mm-hmm. It's going to make me function better. I'm going to get to catch up with all my old doctors and nurses who used to look after me. I'll get a week off from work, you know. I can eat ice cream. I can do whatever I want for that week. So that's just how I like to position it. And that makes me feel a lot better about going into them.
Right, and that's having that mental fortitude and being strong about it, getting you through. All right, so despite these setbacks, you completed the Ironman World Championship in just 14 hours. So what does that race entail? That sounds really hard.
So an Ironman is basically the biggest type of triathlon that you can do. It's a 2.4-mile swim, 112-mile bike ride, and then a marathon. So a 26-mile run at the end.
So people can understand the physical limitations that you have if you still have any. But let's talk about some of the injuries you sustained. Burns over 65% of your body and more.
So I think one of the hardest things about doing an Ironman for me was when my fingers got amputated. So when you think about swimming, your hand is your paddle, yeah?
Yeah.
So I've got a smaller surface area on my hand, so I'm not quite as efficient as what I used to be. Mm-hmm. On the bike, obviously you hold the handles with your hands. Yep, so I brake with just my thumb.
Do you have special equipment then?
Yep, so it's been adapted, but it's really interesting. I'm actually better now at running than I was before my accident.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Were there other people that were caught up in that wildfire? And how did that happen? Did the race officials not know?
Yeah, so there was 6 of us that were caught in the fire, and I think it's a real credit to each and every one of us because all 6 of those people have gone on to do some really amazing things. There was another woman, Kate Sanderson, who was badly burned. She got 65% burns, just like me. Now, she just finished a 250-kilometre ultramarathon through the Sahara Desert. There's Michael Hull, who got burned to 25% of his body. He just finished a 12-day race across the Arctic Circle.
Wow.
So I think we've all done really well for ourselves, and I guess in comparison to their achievements, my Ironman looks a little bit small.
Oh, come on now.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you talk about the things that you're able to mentally focus on and say, okay, this is what I want to do, but where do you find the inspiration to do it in the first place? Yeah,
well, I think when I woke up in hospital, I was told the backstory of how I survived. So when you're burnt, the first thing that they'll do is remove the burnt or damaged skin. And then they need to cover you with something. Real skin, it's the best stuff to use because it's got infection-fighting properties. But when I got my injuries, there was no skin in Australia. So my surgeons searched the world, and thankfully for me, they found some in America. Wow. That was shipped over, and I'm not being dramatic, but that was the skin that saved my life. So when I woke up and I found out that story, I found out that I was only here today because of the grace and the generosity of of those American people, I resolved to live my life to the best of my abilities, because I never wanted those donors, wherever they are, to think that I was in any way ungrateful for their generous gift.
Well, now that you are on this path and on this track, what's your regimen like today? Like, how do you prepare for these races?
So when I get up, the first thing I do is work. So like a big project that I'm working on, maybe I might write a speech or prepare for some media interviews, and then I'll have breakfast, and then I'll go do my training sessions. So for Ironman, maybe I was training around 3 hours a day, and then on the weekends it would be like a 7-hour bike ride, and then a really long run.
I'm sorry, did you say 7-hour bike ride?
Yeah, oh, it was so boring.
It took me a second to register that.
It was so boring. Yeah, and I think that was the hardest part about training, just the monotony of it all, you know, the showing up to those days which at their essence were pretty boring.
Right. Well,
but I'm off now. I'm in my off season. I'm not doing any training at the moment.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And so MTF, a very important foundation to you.
Exactly. So that's the organisation which shipped the skin to Australia, and so I'm over here with them. I've been doing talks with their staff. I've met some of the people who were directly involved in sending the skin over to me. So it's been a really emotional experience for me, but I'm so happy that I can be here and share my story with the MTF staff.
It's an incredible story, and you're right. I mean, until we have a chance to sit down and talk with you, you might read a headline, but to hear more about how it happened, how you were able to thrive after these horrific injuries, you know, is really something truly remarkable. So I want to thank you for sharing that story with us. How can people find you and find out more information about you?
I think the easiest way would be on Instagram.
Oh, okay.
At Turia Pitt.
All right.
It's that easy.
We'll find you.
I just want to say one more thing.
Yes.
If people want to register to be an organ and tissue donor,
very important.
All they need to do, go to donatelife.net. It's that easy. Yeah.
All right. Very good. Well, thank you so much for being here, and best of luck to you.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. I appreciate
it. All right. If you have a health question, you want to tweet them at Dr. Manny right here on Fox. Until next time, I'm Laura Ingle.